Have you ever had a guest who treated your apartment like it was a film set? I hadn't, until the weekend I hosted a couple at the Green Street flat in Soho. It started on a Friday morning, one of those clear, crisp days in the city where you almost forget how hectic Manhattan can be. I was running my usual routine, vacuuming the loft-style living room, fluffing pillows, checking that the coffee station was stocked, and leaving a few trail maps and recommendations tucked on the counter for guests. The flat is one of my favorites. Sunlight streaming through big windows, exposed brick, that vintage record player in the corner, so I like to keep it pristine. The booking was for a couple in their early 30s from England. From the first text, they sounded a little extra. "We want to make this a creative weekend," the woman wrote. Her partner added a smiley face emoji. I didn't think much of it. Lots of people say that. They arrived around 4 p.m., dragging an impressive amount of gear, tripod stands, multiple lighting kits, and a suitcase that looked suspiciously heavy for clothes alone. The woman immediately started inspecting every corner of the flat, asking if the light was good enough, and whether the exposed brick wall was cinematically textured. I showed them around and left them to settle in. It wasn't unusual for guests to photograph the space. They often do, but within half an hour, my WhatsApp was buzzing. "Can we move the couch to the center of the room? It will look better in the shot." I hesitated, then went over to help. The couch ended up awkwardly angled across the living room, and the dining chairs were scattered like extras in a scene. I reminded myself, people are creative here. Just don't break anything. That night, I got another text. "Is it okay if we film until midnight? We promise it'll be quiet." I sighed. Green Street walls are thin. I gave them a tentative okay, thinking they'd just need a few extra hours. At 11:30 p.m., the first flash went off in the living room, then another. Then, somehow, they were in the bedroom, the kitchen, and the balcony, capturing shots from every possible angle. At one point, I peeked in and saw them using the record player as a prop, spinning a vinyl at high speed to catch motion blur. I tried not to laugh, but also tried not to panic about scratched floors. The next morning, I received a note under the door. "We forgot to mention there may be paint involved in one scene. Nothing permanent. Promise, paint." My stomach sank. I grabbed my phone and called. The woman assured me it was washable. Fine, I thought, as long as the flat survived. By late afternoon, the creative project escalated further. The couple had taped a series of tiny markers on the floors and walls, positioning the camera, adjusting lighting, and moving furniture again. At one point, they started choreographing a mock fight scene with pillows on the couch. I hovered nearby, silently judging their balance between artistry and chaos. Checkout morning, I braced for disaster. I expected spills, scratches, maybe a broken lamp. But when I opened the door, the flat was immaculate. Cushions realigned, floor white, counter cleared, and on the dining table was a small stack of photographs, stills from their weekend shoot, all featuring my apartment, beautifully lit and staged. Tucked on top was a note. "Thank you for letting us turn your flat into a set. Your space is now immortalized in film forever." I stared at it, half laughing, half bewildered. They hadn't ruined a thing. In fact, they'd somehow enhanced the apartment's charm and left me with this bizarre but endearing memory. Now, every time I host at Green Street, I secretly hope a guest wants to shoot a scene. Because honestly, it was exhausting, unpredictable, and slightly terrifying, but also one of the most memorable weekends I've had as a host. And my apartment. It has a tiny piece of cinematic immortality tucked away in those photos.